Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us today for Parent Trust's Virtual Taste of Spring celebration. My name is John Wittgenstein, and I'm lucky enough to be the board president for Parent Trust of Washington Children. And we're here to celebrate springtime, one of my favorite times up here in the Pacific Northwest, and your support of Parent Trust. We're going to be hearing from our partner wineries, the Three of Cups and Callan Cellars, about their incredible small production wines and enjoying some live music, all in support of Parent Trust. But first, I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, DeMarcus Luckett.
Hi there, I'm DeMarcus, and I am one of the newest board members here at Parent Trust. I'm very excited for you all to be joining us during our Taste of Spring event. Parent Trust is a child abuse prevention organization, and our goal is a world where every parent has all the resources that they need. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and supporting child abuse prevention is an incredible way to take action to change the world.
Agreed. And this year, we're going to go in depth with a panel discussion and tasting of the featured wine of our partners. Again, the Three of Cups and Callan Cellars. If you're a veteran of this event and have joined it before, those names should sound familiar because we've been lucky enough to be able to partner with them for a number of years now. And just a reminder, you can purchase their wines through their websites or through their tasting rooms in Woodinville. And if you use our code PARENTS, you'll get 15% off every purchase, and it will benefit Parent Trust.
We know that our wineries are asked to support many nonprofits, and we are very honored that they chose to support us. And that brings us to why we're all here, to support Parent Trust and to make a difference in the lives of the 80,000 babies that are born in Washington State every year. We'll keep our donation information right here, the entirety of the event. Let us know if you can help us to reach our goal.
Babies can't wait. Families can't wait. Now's the time for us to come together and make a difference. It matters for our present and it matters for our future. You can give through our website, parenttrust.org, through our Facebook page, and by texting the word donate to 855-933-3771. But before we move on to the winemakers and the rest of our program, we'd like to share some words straight from the families that we're lucky enough to support.
We love hearing from the families. That's what fuels everything we do here at Parent Trust. We're changing the lives of so many children all over the state of Washington. And we want to thank all of our Taste of Spring sponsors, K2 Vision, Columbia Bank, True Blue Strategies, and the Ruxtul Labashchi Wright family. These are all sponsors who return to our events year after year, even through the hard times we've all experienced during the pandemic. We're so grateful for all of their support. We also want to recognize our gold sponsor, KPMG. KPMG is an international network of member firms serving the business community throughout the world, as well as all of the communities that KPMG operates in. Thank you.
We also want to introduce you to our platinum sponsor, TR International. Based in Edmonds, TR International is one of the largest certified women-owned distributors of chemicals and raw materials in North America. And their work keeps the supply chains moving for all of us, which is incredibly relevant over the last 2 years, I think. We're delighted to have them as our platinum sponsor for the Taste of Spring this year, and very happy to introduce to you the TR International owner and CEO, Megan Gluth-Bohan, to tell us why TR International supports Parent Trust.
My name is Megan Gluth-Bohan. I'm the CEO and owner of TR International, headquartered in Edmonds, Washington. We value opportunities to support our communities, families, and in particular, children. We're honored to be a supporter this year of Parent Trust, and we are grateful for the work Parent Trust does to help end generational cycles of trauma and abuse in families. We believe that if we all work together, we can support and strengthen those around us and lift us all together in our community. Thank you, Parent Trust, for the work you do and for the opportunity for us to help you serve.
Thank you, Megan. And thank you to all our sponsors and our individual donors that let us meet families where they are and when they need us. You're an incredible reason why we're able to help build and support this community around Parent Trust. Let's step up and do our part, and together we can all make a difference.
You can donate on our webpage, parenttrust.org, via our Facebook page, or text the word donate to 855-933-3771. Now, let's go out to our winemakers.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn Marshall. I am the Development Coordinator at Parent Trust, and I am lucky enough to be here today with our amazing wine partners, Lisa from Callan Cellars, and Lisa and Mike from Three of Cups Winery. And we are going to discuss their wines. We're going to talk in some detail about the wines they've chosen to feature for our event. And we're also going to talk about their incredible support of Parent Trust. Well, I know each of you have brought 3 wines for us to talk about and taste, which I am so looking forward to today. So shall we start with Lisa? I think you have a white.
Sure, we'll start with the Grenache Blanc. The Grenache Blanc, this is a different vintage from what we were pouring last year, but same wine, Grenache Blanc. Super crisp, clean, acidic, but also has some great fruit notes. Asian pear, a little bit of citrus. Goes great with spicy food or seafood. It's a pretty easy everyday drinker. Grenache Blanc. 100% Grenache Blanc from Boucher Vineyards. 100% stainless steel ferment. And I think we probably made about 245 cases of that. Oh yeah.
That is lovely to my palate. What do you really look for in tasting a wine like this for those of us who don't really do the nuance every day?
The Grenache Blanc I like to make because it's different than a Chardonnay or a Sauv Blanc. It doesn't have the grassy notes of a Sauv Blanc, and it doesn't have that. It's just got a lighter mouthfeel, so it's not like a Chardonnay where you have this oaky, buttery, heavier white, right. And it's just more refreshing and just a really easy drinker.
Gotcha. So what are you tasting?
So I definitely taste the Asian pear that's in there. I think it's got those nice citrusy notes. It has a little effervescence to me a little bit, so it's kind of nice because it's very light. And I think it's a great summer drink to have on your porch while you're watching the flowers and the sunset.
Wow.
Yeah.
I definitely get the pear on the nose. To me, I get a little green olive in the flavor, a little star fruit. It's more on the tropical side of Grenache Blanc. I really like those flavors a lot lot more in my Grenache Blancs or my whites in general is more on the tropical side of things. So no, this would pair with a lot of fishes as well as even
Scallops,
chicken or in it. Yeah, this is really nice.
I pair it with the remote control a lot at my house.
Yes,
So-
this could be a potential porch pounder.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that phrase, porch pounder. That's wonderful. Now I'm definitely thinking of summer.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah,
coming,
for sure.
I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Not this week though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we move on to the
Yeah.
3 of Cups rosé.
And you said that, just one more thing before we move on.
Sure.
You said this was from Boucher Vineyards.
Boucher
and,
Vineyards.
And where is that?
Boucher Vineyards is in Grandview, right outside of Prosser.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All of the wines that I have here tonight are from Boucher Vineyards.
We have our 2021 Senso Rose. We like the Senso grape. The funny thing about it is the spelling. In France, it's spelled with an L, and in the United States, it's not spelled with the L. And the TTB liquor board decided that we could not have the L in it, so they had us do our labels differently. So it's kind of interesting that in every country there's these little weird nuances about Senso. We like the grape because it's a different kind of grape. It's a different profile, sort of more on the softer side. This year was actually a natural fermentation, so it kind of started doing things by itself. And we decided not to interrupt the process, and we let it go. It's 3 lots from 3 different vineyards. We made about 500 gallons of it or so.
2 states.
2 states.
3 vineyards.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is Oregon, Senso from down in the rocks.
Yep.
Washington from Horse Heaven Hills. And then also Washington, Yakima Valley.
Yep.
I've never heard of Senso before. That's really, really interesting. What is rosé typically made with? If it's not a silly question.
So there's 2 typical styles of rosé. So the other reason we like the Senso is because you actually get flavor from it. Where a lot of rosés, it's about skin contact time. So Grenache could be a red grape. Doesn't have to be a white grape. A lot of people don't know Pinot Gris is a red grape. It's just the amount of time that it has on skin contact. So rosé actually gives you a little bit of flavor with a limited amount, the Senso rosé gives you a little flavor profile with a limited amount of skin contact time. But there's 2 methods. Sometimes they call it the kitchen sink. People are cutting back on the amount of juice that they have, and they're sticking it into a tank, and they'll add a little bit of water to it, add a little bit of acid to it, and call it rosé. It's called the Saignée method. The other way to do it is where you start out from the very beginning to make a rosé out of a grape, and that is typically where you crush it, you do a limited skin contact time to get some color pickup, and then you throw it right into the press right away, and then you get the juice, and it goes straight into the stainless steel.
Oh, wow.
And then it ferments just as that way. So
I have a question. What's your sweet spot for skin contact time for your Senso?
we've been experimenting because this is our 4th year of using Senso. We've done as much as 36 hours, and we've done as little as 12 hours. And it kind of depends on the lots. Unfortunately, this year the two vineyards picked at the same time. The 3rd vineyard did not. So there was about a 24 or 48 hour between. So we had to process them as 2 separate lots. So we did 12 hours on one and 24 on the other.
You like to clean. That's all right.
Yeah, I do. So it was it created a bit more challenge, but it is, like I said, it's one of our first naturally fermented wines. So
Yeah.
we're happy to let it go and see what happens, and happy with the way it turned out. Might do it a little different this year, though.
And it didn't get stuck.
Did
No,
not.
no, all the way to
Lucky.
dryness.
Yeah, lucky.
What does that mean? Didn't get stuck?
Sometimes with native ferments, you can have them stop before they're done, finished fermenting, and then there's some residual sugar, which, depending on your style,
Right, and
some
what you're
people
looking
don't want
for.
that.
Right,
So
right.
then you're like, you have to restart it, and it can be a challenge.
Gotcha.
And we also ferment this cold, so we keep it cold, but typically when you add a yeast to it, you have a little more, you know what the conditions are that yeast can tolerate a little bit more. But when it's a natural yeast, all you can do is throw it under the microscope and say, oh, is this a good yeast or a bad yeast? Because a bad yeast is not going to go the way you would hope for at the end of the fermentation. It's not going to taste like a dry wine. So in this case, it was the right yeast, but it really had to keep an eye on it, and we couldn't ferment it as cold as we typically do.
Gotcha, fascinating. So like for the bakers out there, it's like an analogy to a sourdough starter, and you never know quite what it's going to be.
Our entire wineries, Lisa's and ours, are probably sourdough starters themselves. There's so much yeast in the building that
wow,
you're living it, breathing it. It's all over the table. You're not getting rid of it.
That is super cool. I'm a baker, so that's an easy analogy for me to
And when we
understand.
got our place in Artisan Hill, it was a wall bed store, so it didn't have any yeast in there. So we were happy to introduce our own yeast.
Had a lot of sawdust.
It had sawdust.
A lot of sawdust.
Some of those things that are going on. But yeah, so yeah, and we really like this grape. We like the color. We go for a lighter pinky color. So that's less time on the skins. We've had rosés that are more time on the skins, they're darker. I think we were trying to be more French and go for those, lighter French wine colors. So that's been our experiment with the different times, like 24 hours, 12 hours, right away. It's like,
Right.
So there's kind of a balance there. So yeah. But it's a fun grape. It's fun to taste. To me, I get like lots of strawberry on it. I think it has those kinds of notes. It's a little softer than like a Sauv Blanc or something. A little less citrusy. You're not gonna get that.
Yeah, I get like watermelon. Definitely a little watermelon. So another porch pounder at only 12.8% alcohol.
Yeah.
So.
It is a little less on the alcohol. We try and make them not too hot. Yeah.
What are you tasting?
I feel like I get a little bit of floral.
Yeah, definitely.
Aromas, but like you said, and maybe a little bit of rhubarb.
Yep. A little violet, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's amazing how grapes mimic so many different other things. So.
It really is. It's an art to the vocabulary as well as the everything to do with wine tasting.
It's all about the skin.
I'm feeling pretty lucky sitting right here between all of you.
Well, the two of us that do our rosés similarly, there are a lot of people who, I call it cheating, and they do the Saignée method, which is stealing juice from a red grape that hasn't fermented, has kicked off fermentation yet, and but we're very intentional. The grapes that are purchased are specifically for a rosé, and they're smushed and cold soaked, and you watch them and you check them every so and check the color, and then when you're happy, you toss it in the press. And I think it's good to see other people doing that intentionally and not stealing juice from a red.
Yeah. and the
Provence
growers like it because you
Yeah.
drive them a little crazy because you pick earlier than you would typically pick for other grapes because you want the higher acidity in there because it helps preserve it as a lighter wine. But at the same time, they're only thinking ripeness and maturity, and they're trimming their rows to be appropriate for a normal harvest. And you're in there saying, no, pick now.
Right. Right. Very cool. Very interesting how early on the process starts.
Yeah, it's at least
with the growing plant.
it's like we probably pick at least 3 weeks earlier, 3 to 4 weeks earlier than we normally would pick for a mature grape.
Well, I appreciate all the rosé conversation too, because I think it's worth pointing out to the people who are watching that if I remember right, both of you, your rosés have a tendency to sell out pretty quickly.
That's why we made a lot last year.
Yeah.
We made more.
We made more. And interestingly enough, with the Senso grape, we may even experiment in, with just the actual getting it into the red zone, right? So making it a red versus not making it a rosé, right? So it's kind of, it's kind of like, what can you do with this grape? What else can you do with this grape, right?
Wow, that was really, really fascinating. And I can't believe we still have 4 more wines to go. John and I are going to take a minute and put together some wine vocabulary while you enjoy our talented musical guest, Doug Wolf, performing Change the World. Let's enjoy Doug's performance and remember that together we can change the world. It starts with your donation.
I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place. With my own two hands, make it a nicer place. With my own two hands, with my own two hands. I can make peace on earth. With my own two hands, I can clean up the earth. With my own two hands, I can reach out to you. With my own two hands, with my own two hands. I'm gonna make it a brighter place. With my own two hands, I'm gonna make it a safer place. With my own two hands, I'm gonna help the human race. With my own two hands, with my own two hands. I can hold you with my own two hands, and I can comfort you with my own two hands, but you gotta use your own two hands, use your own two hands. With my own two hands. With our own two hands. All of you are making the world a better place, a safer place, a kinder place, by providing families the support that they need to be successful. Thank you for supporting Parent Trust and their mission to make the world a safer place for children and families. Thank you for supporting Parent Trust.
And thank you, Doug. Doug is another of our longtime supporters and ambassadors, and we're always so delighted to share his music with you.
2 years into the pandemic, families are still telling us every day, every week, that we are the only ones still answering their phone calls.
It's important to remember that the pandemic isn't over, especially for so many families with young children who can't yet be vaccinated. Stress level among parents is still off the charts and at an all-time high, but your support and your donations can help change that. But moving on, let's briefly share some wine vocabulary before we dive back in with our winemakers. We can start with the concept and the term oak. When our winemakers are talking about oak, they're talking about the wood, the barrels they ferment their wines in. Sometimes they use new barrels, meaning the wine has never aged in those barrels before, and sometimes they use barrels that have fermented wines.
Another interesting note is that when the winemakers talk about an area, like Red Mountain or Lake Chelan, they're talking about the AVA, the American Viticultural Area, an official designated wine growing region. And when they talk about percentages, that's the ABV percentage, the alcohol by volume, the measurement of alcohol content in any given wine. And with that, let's get back to our winemakers.
So jumping back over, we have the 2019 Grenache, also from Boucher Vineyards. This is a much lighter bodied red. I think of this as a really easy food wine because it's, even though it's lighter bodied, it's great flavor and higher acid. And so if you have like meats and cheeses, something with a little fatty, it cuts the acid and it just pairs really well. So the Grenache, speaking of picking earlier for rosé, we use about 50% Grenache picked earlier for our rosé. And then the rest of it we pick 3 or 4 weeks later for the Grenache. And I made a mess. And so here it is. I feel like it's, we had this with ribs right after it was bottled. Barbecue ribs was super yummy. So it's just a really good food friendly.
The first thing I notice about it is that it's a beautiful color too. I mean, reds have such a range of color, but it's such a beautiful color. But
Yeah, just lighter bodied but full
Yeah.
flavor still. I don't
Yeah.
know. I love this wine. It's one of my favorites.
Gotcha.
So.
And why don't you tell us about the oak that you use on it?
We don't use any new oak on our Grenache or Syrah. We use 100% neutral, previously used barrels for all of our Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre.
Cool.
Yep.
Are they French oak or mixture?
Yes, they are French oak. Sometimes there might be an American one thrown in there, depending on what I have available. But
Mhm.
Grenache is very up and coming.
It is.
It's selling more. It's becoming more popular. It's also was harder to find in Washington State, and more people are planting it. So
I just found out I'm getting more this year, so I'm so excited.
Oh, that's crazy.
we doubled our Grenache last year.
Wow.
As far as how much we get, and then we're sticking with that same volume this year. We're just hoping that our lots net more, a little bit more this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Last year was a great year for Rhones, as far as harvest goes. Bordeaux varietals suffered a little bit last year as far as yields go. So
Gotcha, and I assume
The
that's
heat.
about the weather and
Yeah.
the heat wave. that
because
we
the
had
Bordeaux
last June.
typically ripen a little bit longer, so a little bit more exposure to the heat, therefore it kind of impacted them a little bit.
Gotcha.
Well, there was that blast of heat really early on,
Yeah.
like in spring. It was
Yeah.
just 100 degrees for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and that really had an impact, I think.
Definitely.
And
Lovely.
is that a thing? And I know that you already, for instance, have in your minds the wines that you're going to be working on. You know that the grapes are already in the field for. But when the weather changes like that, do you have to sort of change your plan on the fly for how it affects the grapes, or?
No, plants shut down at about 85 degrees. They go into like survival mode, and they just kind of sweat off and perspirate a little bit to protect their leaves and things like that. So, no, grapes. The Romans would throw grapes along the roads everywhere they went, and they're still there today. So I
Good
mean,
point.
yeah,
Good point.
they're a very hardy plant. We've had a friend's vineyard that we would get when we get to the Malbec that part of that vineyard burned, and it's completely back, right? So
Wow.
it burned them
Yeah.
down to the stubs, and they've all come back. So it's grapes are very hardy. So
Hardy and resilient.
yeah,
Yes,
they can
sounds
take
like-
it, but it does impact them a little bit on how they store their sugars and how they're pulling nutrients out of the ground and things like that. Just like anyone else, when you have you get a shock to the system, your body changes a little bit. So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Definitely.
So what should I be looking for, Lisa, in tasting this one? Other than the fact that it's delightful.
I don't know. I think there's some red fruits, some
Yeah.
like cherry,
yeah, I get cherry, I get a little raspberry.
little raspberry, yeah.
I get a
That's what
little-
I couldn't identify.
Yeah.
Is
Get a
the
little
raspberry.
currant off
Yeah.
the currant.
Yeah, I love that it's a great summertime red
Yep.
because it's lighter bodied and it's not so just big, like a lot of Cabernets can tend to be.
I want some Thai food.
Easy drinker, yeah.
Or
That would be lovely.
So the last wine is the GSM. So GSM stands for Grenache Syrah Mourvedre. This wine is first. Actually really heavy Syrah. So it should be an SGM, but the way we put it on the labels is GSM. So I think it's about 84% Syrah, 13 Grenache, and 3 Mourvedre. Each year the blend is different depending on when we go through blending trials, how things are tasting and how I like everything together in different ratios. So we pull samples from all the barrels and taste through them all individually, and then we start doing our blends, and so it's just different every year. Last year, the 2018 GSM was heavy Grenache. This year it's heavy Syrah, so it just depends on how we go through all of that. And both of these two reds were in our wine club last spring, And they've also scored really well in some competitions, so I wanted to have them for this event.
Nice.
Yeah, that's lovely. Another beautiful
Really
color.
deep, dark
Yeah,
color.
beautiful.
And
That's
that's
the
the
Syrah.
Syrah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I taste
He
a lot
definitely
of
tastes
that.
the Syrah.
And it's
yeah.
all Boucher fruit for all 3 wines. And Boucher grows several different clones of the Boucher grapes, and this is a 383 clone. I believe the most popular right from his vineyard is probably the Phelps clone. But I was allowed to wander the vineyard, taste all the clones, and pick which one I wanted.
Nice.
So
That's fabulous. Yeah.
It's so hard to tell when you're eating ripe grapes in the vineyard, but the 383 clone I liked the best. So that's what we get, and I'm pretty happy with it.
How many times do you go through the tasting around the blending process as the grapes ferment?
Well, every time I touch the wines, I'm usually tasting them to see how they're coming along.
Right.
When we're checking the chemistry, when we're topping barrels, when we're racking, I'll taste through and just make sure everything's okay. We go through blending trials. My husband and I do it together, and we usually have to revisit 2 or 3 times after we've decided, because your palate can get fried, and we have to go back and make sure that the blends that we've kind of settled on are still the next day or the day after what we like and what we were thinking when we were going through it. So it takes some time, and you have to do it in the middle of the day and not at the end of the day, and you want to make sure it's not after you've brushed your teeth, and you have to be careful about what you ate, because all of those things have an impact on your palate. And so it's hard for us to both align before blending trials. He's got a regular job during the week, so yeah, it's challenging to get it done, but we have a lot of fun. It's a lot of glasses with a lot of blue tape and a calculator and an eraser, and, so yeah, we have a lot of fun doing it.
That's very cool. So
Yeah.
very much where the science and the art kind of come together.
I get made fun of all the time for my spiral notebook and my pencil and my eraser, but it does go to a spreadsheet when the blend is finalized. But I have several spiral notebooks with all my, because I like to see it written down, old school.
Absolutely.
So,
This is really nice.
yeah.
What are you pairing with this?
I don't know, probably a giant cheeseburger. I'm so hungry right now. All I can think about is food.
Cheeseburger would be excellent.
Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger with bacon.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget the bacon. Maybe a little avocado.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I'm going to ask that question again because I'm finding your answers so interesting across the board. What do the two of you taste? What's most forward for you when you taste this one?
Oh, the red fruit is definitely most forward for me. I get a little blackberry.
Yep.
That's a dark
Black
fruit. But I get
I
some
got
blackberry, and if I was tasting this blind, I would lean more on the Syrah side of things, right?
Mhm.
But the Grenache gives it a little extra pepper,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I don't think the Syrah would normally have had.
Right, and that 3% Mourvèdre just dials it up a smidge more.
Yeah. So it's really nice.
It's really subtle. And
Yeah.
I'm finding each time that I taste a little bit more, I get something a little bit different. So it's a fascinating
Yeah.
one.
I had, so it's 3% Mourvèdre because I had a barrel that was a half full barrel of Grenache, and I needed to fill that. And I knew I was doing a GSM, and I had a half full barrel of Mourvèdre. So the Mourvèdre and the Grenache went together right after fermentation, and kept track of all the percentages and all that. And then I had another barrel of Mourvèdre, and before going through tastings or blending trials, we tasted the Mourvèdre by itself, and I loved it. So we had a 1 barrel lot of Mourvèdre, and only 3% ended up in here. But fortunately, it seemed to work, the blend and all that stuff. So
It's lovely.
So what is this wine?
This is the Malbec.
Okay.
This is a cold climate Malbec. So
Well, sort of.
Well,
Predominantly. So this is 3 vineyards.
yes.
Lake Chelan, Brewster, which is about 40 minutes north of Chelan,
Cameron Ridge Vineyard.
and Cameron Ridge, and then a little bit of Heart of the Hill, which
And
is Red
China.
Mountain.
Yeah.
Well,
And Dry Lake.
Yeah, Dry Lake is the Chelan vineyard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we try to go a little Argentinian style with our Malbec.
But it ends up on more of a Cahors, kind of a French style.
Yeah.
Because it's just not cold enough here.
Right.
But I like those thicker skins that you get from the Chelan and from the Brewster, especially Brewster, way up north, high elevation, so you get a little more pepper and more a little bit more flavor through your skins.
Gotcha. That was going to be my first question, is what do you mean by the cold? But you literally mean the colder temperature for the vineyard.
That's right.
Got
It's a stressed out vineyard. It's hard to grow grapes north of Chelan.
Right.
And I know people who grow up in Tonasket, and they've been somewhat successful and had some good years and bad years. So it takes a lot of work the more north you go, until you get just over the border into Soyuz, and then things start relaxing a little bit more with that Fraser Valley.
Gotcha.
So this wine, we wanted to do something for restaurants. This is predominantly kind of a restaurant-y wine.
Mm-hmm.
People like Malbecs. They were up kind of all the craze. Monsoon's a Vietnamese style restaurant, and they carry our Malbec and serve it, and so it kind of pairs nicely with those kind of Asian flavors. I get some boysenberry, and you have those peppery notes that you'll find in it as well.
Right. That was going to be. And if you were cooking, what would you pair it with? Just out of curiosity.
For me,
This is my hamburger wine.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
Lamb burger.
Yeah.
a lamb burger, definitely
I was sensing
a
a
lamb
theme
burger.
for all of us here tonight.
Well, we're hungry.
I love
too.
lamb burger.
It is in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's that
it's been a
time.
busy production day.
Yeah.
It's that time.
We have blending to do after this.
Gotcha. But with maybe a burger break.
There might be burger break. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good. Really good.
Right.
I mean, that was the other part of the story is the price point. We try and keep our price down on this, and that was the advantage of being able to work with Cameron Ridge Vineyards. Is a friend that I went to wine school with.
Oh, gotcha.
Retired from Boeing, planted a vineyard. I helped them plant it, so we get a good price on the grapes, and we're able to keep the price down on this. But like I said, we have to add a little bit of Red Mountain into it just to give it a little bit of that kind of flavor profile that people expect out of it.
And the oak profile on here?
All French, about 40% new.
Okay.
And it sits 24 to 18, 24
We
months.
only age about 18 months. This is the least aged red that we do.
Oh, fast.
So only about 18
I would
months.
never have guessed that from the flavor. Actually, that's really cool.
And it's somewhat intentional. So like our cab that you'll taste next, we age for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because we can, and we started that cycle when we first started making it. We just wanted to soften up the tannins a little bit, but Malbec is our least aged wine because we turn it so quickly and we sell so much of it.
Right.
I cannot wait to try these wines. I especially know the rosé and some of what they refer to in the earlier video as porch pounders are very much favorites in my household over the summer, and I'm really looking forward to being able to buy a few more this year. And remember, you can use our discount code PARENTS online to buy a few more yourselves or in person at their winery until May 15th. And you get a discount on these amazing wines that they've been talking about. And Parent Trust gets a portion of those proceeds.
And the code is good for all of the wines that our partners sell. Our partners have one more wine to share with us, along with their reasons for supporting Parent Trust. And here to remind us all what a difference your support makes is a longtime Parent Trust supporter and ambassador, auctioneer, and local radio host, John Curley.
Hi everybody, John Curley here for Parent Trust for Washington Children. Well, it's that time of year again. We got a chance to support Parent Trust for Washington Children and make sure that the kids and the parents have a great, meaningful, loving relationship. And the parents know what's best and the kids know that they're loved. It's just the most amazing organization. That's why you're watching this. I also try to take time to be able to think of moments in my life where my parents went way above and beyond anything that anyone could possibly imagine. And those moments are possible for all kids and all parents. So here's my quick story about my mom. Every year I show you a picture. There's my mom. She passed about 2 years ago. I had a mouse named Max, and Max one day escaped and went behind the sink downstairs in the powder room. And my mom said, Well, I will sleep downstairs on the floor. It was a marble floor, by the way. And I will put a little thing of corn out, and Max will come down and get the corn, and I'll get Max when I hear him eating the corn. Well, my mom, I don't know how, but she fell asleep on the floor with a pillow and a blanket and didn't catch Max. So the next day, she got a garbage can and she made a ramp, and she put corn on the ramp and put a washcloth on top. And then at night, while she was sleeping again for the second time on the floor, Max climbed up the ramp, went to the top, got the corn, and fell in. And in the morning, I came downstairs, Mom, Max is in the, you got Max. And she, all neck was sore and stiff, and she was so happy, and she gave me a big hug. Slept on the floor to catch my mouse. It's probably an amazing moment you have with your parents as well. Let's make sure we can make more amazing moments for kids in Washington. Please support Parent Trust for Washington Children. Thanks.
So Red Mountain Cab, 2017, all Keona Heart of the Hill. We've been getting our fruit from them since we started.
In 2013?
In 2013. So this is 2 clones? Is that 2 clones in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And all French oak.
About 55% new French oak.
Yep.
1 single cooperage.
And it is our peppery profiled typical Red Mountain wine, but it is softer because of the age.
Because of the aging. Wow, that is fabulous.
And like Lisa's wines, both of these won a platinum last year.
Yep.
What other than a burger would you pair this with?
Oh.
I ask you just as we get to the red meat.
Let me tell you, so the cab, I love the cab, but sometimes, we're in the tasting room and we have lots of, extra wine or something. I make homemade spaghetti sauce from the cab.
Wow.
And so I do it with, like, when it's tomato season and fresh herbs and everything, and I just shove it all in a pot with some of the cab, and let me tell you, it's like the best. It brings a little sweetness to it, but not overpowering. So, I mean, it's probably sinful to take a Red Mountain Cab and shove it into your spaghetti sauce, but that's what
That's one of those privileges you have as a winemaker, I think.
That is a first world problem for sure. Yeah.
There's always a little bit left over at the end of the day. So, yeah, that's how it goes.
The tannins are much softer. The age really does make a big difference.
It does. It makes it. We bottle condition it then also for another like 6 to 8 months. So it helps soften it up, and I just think it makes it more approachable as a Red Mountain Cabernet. But I can always taste Red Mountain in a glass. It doesn't matter what the percentage is or anything like that. I can always pick it up in there because it's got such a unique distinction in flavor profile.
Could you both say more about that? Because that's actually
Red Mountain during the Missoula floods was the highest point in eastern Washington, and so the water kind of ebbed around there, and you got a little more glacial till deposits up there. So it's not just your typical sandy, windy, loamy soils or sandy soils that are up there. They have a little bit of something else in there. Plus the elevation. It's also the hottest AVA in the state as well. So it gets really nice heat units. We call gradient temperature, we call it heat units, and we kind of monitor that to see what those units are. And sometimes it can bounce around between other AVAs, American viticultural areas. That's the different distinct areas. Like Columbia Valley covers a very large area all the way down into Oregon. And within Columbia Valley, there's about, I think we have 13 or 14 different AVAs now.
At least.
Yeah, and so Red Mountain is the smallest AVA. It might not be the smallest, but it's a very small AVA, but it typically has ended up as one of the warmest AVAs as well.
Hottest, highest elevation.
Yeah.
And some pretty special soil.
Lots of Cabernet from...
Absolutely, your highest price point fruit prices come off of Red Mountain, without a doubt. For Washington State. Oregon has its beat on per ton values of some vineyards down there, but absolutely for Washington State, Red Mountain's probably your highest
most
cost.
expensive fruit from Red Mountain.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and there's a reason. Like I said, it's got such a distinct characteristic.
I love the fruit from up there. I think I love the big, the big full jammy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your face, kind of.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can drink it by itself. You can have it with food. You can. It goes a lot of ways.
Even in spaghetti sauce.
Even in spaghetti sauce, or just with your spaghetti. You know? You're not hurting anyone's feelings. You know?
Yeah. I was just gonna say red pastas and
Yeah.
bolognese and steak and burgers and all those big hearty meals. This could totally stand up to.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you three all enough for doing this. This has been amazing for me, and I think it's been amazing for the people who are watching, even though I'm sure they're hungry, like we all are. I want to be sure that I say that people can continue to buy your wines with the Parent Trust code up until May 15th.
Correct.
And I want to encourage anyone who has a chance to get out to Woodinville that your tasting rooms are open
And we're right next door to each other.
yeah, they're neighbors, so it's very, very simple to visit Kellen and then visit Three of Cups. So.
Yes.
One thing I really also want to be able to tell everyone who's watching about is that you each have exciting news going on with your businesses. I know you're both opening new tasting rooms, and I wanted to be sure that I asked you both about that. So I don't know who would like to go first. Lisa, I know.
Go first.
All right, there we go. Tell us about your new tasting
We're not
room.
going far.
Yeah. We're just going down the
We're about a half a mile. We've already officially named it Three of Cups Down the Hill.
Oh, I love
And
it.
it's by the Hampton Inn. There's 4 tasting rooms currently down there. We took over Tertulia's old tasting room in the very front. I'm doing the construction work myself whenever I'm not doing something related to wine
Yes.
or
Right.
something else. So we're hoping to open it in mid-April. We'll see how it goes.
Yes.
Yeah, fingers and toes. That
Yeah.
means that it might be open by the time that
I'm
this
very
could be
excited.
open.
I get my floor drain back right now because we do tasting. We have a very small. Lisa's very fortunate. She has this beautiful big tasting room, and we have a very tiny tasting room.
Yeah.
And so we taste out in the winery over the floor drain.
Right.
And I want that floor drain back for production so I can work on Saturdays and Sundays.
That was actually going to be my next question. Is the production is still staying here on
Absolutely, and
Artesian
we'll
Hill.
still keep that tasting room open on Saturdays,
Yeah.
except
Gotcha.
during harvest, and then
Right.
we'll
When-
send everybody down the hill. But other than that, because Artisan Hill is very important to us, and the camaraderie that we have here, we want to continue that.
It feels very special.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's a unique space up here in Artisan Hill. We just extended our lease for this space today.
Congratulations.
On my way here, I had
Yeah.
to stop and get my signature notarized. But then we're opening our second tasting room in Chelan. So that hopefully will be open, liquor license pending for Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, fabulous. Very
So
fun.
production will all stay here, and this tasting room will stay here, and then we'll have a new spot to visit when you're visiting Lake Chelan. So very exciting.
That's really very exciting.
I will be
very
spending a
exciting.
lot of time in my car, going back and
back
forth.
and forth between the two.
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
we're like, what are we going to do about a vehicle? So that's the whole gas thing is an issue. So
Right,
we're trying
right.
to figure that out right now too.
Gotcha.
I'm looking forward to tasting over there with you. So
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
because we get fruit out of the Chelan, so
Right,
we're there a
right.
lot.
There's
so
a vacation rental on our property, so if it's not booked, you have a place to stay.
I'll meet you at the Rock
There you go.
for a beer.
There you go. Yeah, we have vineyards on the property in Chelan. I think all the fruit is spoken for this fall, but I'm hoping for next fall we'll have access to estate fruit, and that would be pretty cool to have some
Yeah.
Pinot Noir for our rosé, or to do our sparkling again, or actually a Pinot Noir. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, fabulous.
Looking forward to that.
Fabulous. Well, I'm so glad to be able to share good news about your businesses
Yeah.
with everyone out there who supports Parent Trust. So, and that leads me to, I have to say again that we are so grateful that you continue to do this for us, and it has such a huge impact on the families we serve, because our special events allow us to take in individual donations, and that's really what gives us flexibility in helping families. It sort of allows us to turn on a dime and do things like have our parent coaches work with a family who may need help figuring out just how to get food, or how to get very basic services. So that's the kind of thing that these events provide. And so again, we can't thank you enough. And I want to ask all of you why you keep sticking with us. So, and
well, I have to say, people ask me a lot, why am I doing wine now? What did I do in my prior life? And my answer is pretty basic. I mean, I spent the first 20 years of my life trying to survive my parents' bad relationships and divorces and marriages and moving all over the place. The second 20 years of my life raising my family, and now I get to do what I want to do and what I love. And I'm so lucky to be able to be doing what I'm doing. But I feel like if my parents had known or had access to the Parent Trust, things might have turned out a little differently for my brother and I growing up. And
well, we can't thank you enough for paying it forward in this way. And
we get
giving
asked a
other
lot
people.
to
I know you do.
donate to different organizations, and you got to pick the one that's.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
I
I can't follow that.
Well, I've had a sip of wine, so now
she needs
Wow.
food quick.
I think for me, I don't have children of my own, but I have stepchildren and I have nieces and nephews. And I think for me, what Parent Trust offers is some fabulous programs. And we have to be able, like, when we're given gifts of great living and great life, when we talk about lamb burgers and things like that, there are kids that need help. And we have to be able to give back. And I feel like that if we're able to, we should give back. And these kids need our help. The parents need our help. The programs that you guys have with the fathers is incredible. So I just feel like that kind of coaching and having that available in our society just makes a better society. And so we just need to be able to do that. And Lisa's still making me cry.
I'm sorry.
Can I just say ditto at this point?
No,
I can't.
No.
So my wife and I, both our children, I went to school in California, and both our children were born in California. And we had no family down there. And we were both young. It was an unexpected pregnancy. We had no health care. So birthing classes were offered to us through Alternative Birthing Center that we ended up having both our children at. And Parent Trust, if we'd have had similar services like that for coaching as young new parents, developmental assessment of your children as they grow, those are services we did not have access to at the time when we were down there. And it was a very cost effective, and my parents divorced when I was young, so I don't have a similar story to Lisa as far as how it was like for us growing up as kids, but definitely when we moved back to Washington intentionally so that our children have this support network of their grandparents, either who were on two sides of the states. So it worked out great for vacations, depending on which direction we were going, to Canada or Oregon. But other than that, I mean, it's those types of foundations. A rising tide raises all ships, and that's so true with families. It's expensive to live in the Seattle area. Families need as much help as they can get, and for families to get the types of coaching and things that you guys offer at Parent Trust are important to us. It's important to my family. With my two grown children now, so I think it's a good. We have to, like Lisa said, there's a lot of places that come to us and look for support, and we have to be very particular about who we pick and who we choose to work with.
Yep, we're just too small. We can't help. We can't save the world.
Right.
But we have to pick what's really.
We are
near and
boutique
dear.
wineries, and Parent Trust clicks all the boxes for us as far as networking and services provided.
Well, again, we can't thank you enough. And on behalf of all of us at Parent Trust and our families, thank you so much for being our partners.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know I want to echo that sentiment immediately. Thank you so much, Lisa and Mike. We are so glad you're part of Parent Trust team and everything you do. And thank you so much for the ongoing relationship we've had with you. You truly make the Taste of Spring a fantastic event, and you support us through it all. So thank you.
And thanks again to everyone here. today, supporting Parent Trust. Your donations through buying wine from 3 of Cups and Callan Cellars is going to support more and more families getting help here in Washington.
You can help us reach our fundraising goal by donating to Parent Trust via our webpage, which is parenttrust.org, via our Facebook page, or by texting the word donate, as you can see on the screen to our left, at 855-933-3771. Our job at Parent Trust is to equip parents and caregivers to raise safe, healthy, and strong children, and we cannot do this work without you.
Your donations make it possible. Every time a parent turns to the family helpline, every time we answer the phone, that's your support in action. Thank you for being a part of Parent Trust. Parents can't wait, babies can't wait, and we can't wait for you to keep enjoying the wine and donating to Parent Trust. Thank you to our wine partners, 3 of Cups and Callan Cellars. And thank you to our gold and platinum sponsors, KPMG and TR International.
And thank you to our other sponsors, K2 Vision, Columbia Bank, True Blue Strategies, and the Hochstuhl Lebashki Wright family. And a special thank you to John Curley and Jonathan Hauser, our technical wizard, who puts this whole show on in the background for Parent Trust. Thank you so much. And finally, on behalf of the board, the staff, and the families of Parent Trust, we want to say thank you so much for all the support and everything you do to allow us to support this community, these families, and these children here in Washington State. We're going to close out with another song from the incredible Doug Wolf called Harmonize. Please have a great night and enjoy. Thank you.
Tell me what makes you weary. Tell me what lights up your eyes. I'll meet you there in the middle. We'll lay down and harmonize. Tell me what makes you peaceful. Tell me what you fantasize. I'm taking notes in the moonlight, and we'll lay down and harmonize. I'm awake for, I'm awake for you. 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 Tell me what keeps you honest. Tell me what keeps you inspired. I'll always come in the morning, and we'll lay down and harmonize. Tell me what moves you ready. Tell me what moves your insides. I'll bring the soul and bring the steady, and we'll lay down and harmonize. We'll lay down and harmonize. I'm awake awake for. I'm awake for you. I'm awake for. I'm awake for you. I'm awake for. I'm awake for you. I'm awake for. I'm awake for you.